As a quick recap from uh, part one of mind blindness, um, if I don't step up to my responsibilities, things will go to hell in a handbasket. And these responsibilities I'm speaking of are the responsibilities that I have to my family, especially when my wife is in the hospital. So this means paying the bills, paying insurance, um, making sure my kids have something to eat, in which case my wife's family has really been stepping up. And maintaining the rule of law in the house. Not letting my kids get away with stuff just because mommy's out. So it's like I said in part one. I'm not necessarily the captain. I am, in this respect, the executive officer. Okay, in naval terms, um, because it is the role of the executive officer to step up and fill the captain's shoes. And the reason I call my wife the captain is because she handles our financial affairs. Okay. But I'm taking a more proactive role in that. But this is about mind blindness, and again, I want to know more from other Aspies out there, especially those whose channels I've subscribed to, um, what they think mind blindness is. And now I've gone over it to a little degree what mind blindness is for me, and that is according to Dr. Hans Asperger and Udo Frith, who translated his work into English, that mind blindness is basically um, a lack of anticipation, again, as I said in part one, and that we Aspies, we compensate for that lack of anticipation, primarily by use of high language, I guess you could say. Um, but I don't want to retread old ground, so I want to move further on here. What is mind blindness? What other ways can we compensate for it? Okay, now I've already mentioned in part one the use of logic. To um, further this, uh, to emphasize, I guess, I think logic, the use of logic, first off, we come by logic very naturally as people with Asperger's syndrome. We would relate more to someone like Aristotle than we would to the Three Stooges. Now, I like to think I have a pretty dang good sense of humor, and I'm a pretty humorous guy. I like the Stooges. But the Three Stooges are not what one would use in as role models in a situation where they have to compensate for mind blindness, or have to compensate for lack of, oh, I'm having a brain fart, for lack of anticipation. Okay, again, courtesy of mind blindness. So I would say we need to turn to those people, the great thinkers, who use logic. The greatest of them all is Jesus Christ. And I say this not just as a Catholic, but as a lover of philosophy. When the difficult questions were put to him, okay, rather than say, do this or thou will be damned, or whatever, okay, he framed his answers in parables, in stories that people could relate, okay, in situations that people could relate to. He did not use emotion, he used logic. For example, the parable of the ox in the ditch, right? Uh, if you're going to Mass or Protestant service or synagogue, wherever, on Sunday, or again if you're Jewish, on Friday, wherever, the Sabbath, however, what are you going to do if you have problems, right? If you have a car problem, what? Because it's the Sabbath, you're not going to go and get help. You got to move that car. You got to get to your destination, right? So the car being the modern ox, you got to get it out of its modern ditch. That means doing what you got to do for the sake of your family, for the sake of your life, okay? And because Jesus' teaching there is that man was not made for the Sabbath, Sabbath was made for man. Okay, now again, I don't want to digress or go off on a tangent. But my point is that I think logic compensates greatly about mind blindness. If we can't anticipate instinctively, then the mind has got to take over. Our senses, we've got to look around. Okay, the trash needs taken out. Take the trash out. Because the bag is full. Okay, the brain's going to tell you. If the bag's full, you can't put any more trash in it, right? So you got to take the trash out. Plain and simple. But I think the crux of the problem there is that you can look at that garbage bag and say, yeah, it's full. I see it's full. I don't feel like taking it out. Ah, here's the kicker. My wife is in the kitchen. I see that she's in the kitchen. I see that she's cooking dinner. I see that there are scraps left from peeled onions or potatoes or the fat cut off of meat. And this stuff has got to go in a garbage bag, but it's not going to go in a garbage bag if that garbage bag is full. Okay? So therefore, the garbage has got to be taken out and has got to be replaced with an empty garbage bag. So for us Aspies, I think that this is what anticipation is for us. Anticipation is not, for us, it's not like it is, or what it seems to be for everyone else. For other people, it's like, I'm going to do this for this person because I love her. No. As an Aspie, my anticipation, if you will, is I'm going to take the garbage out because it is the logical thing to do. Knowing that two solid objects cannot possibly occupy the same space. Meaning that if that bag is full, it's not going to accept any more garbage. Because physically, it is impossible to put more garbage in the bag since the bag is already occupied to its fullest. So that is my take on what anticipation can be for mind blindness, for an Aspergian, I should say, and how we Aspergians can compensate for our lack of anticipation. So people say that we're like Commander Data from Star Trek or Mr. Spock. Well, those two characters, they don't use feelings. They use observation. And I guess that's the key point. I guess that's the key word is observation. So we don't have anticipation, so to speak. But we have a great power of observation. And if we use that observation